Hey everyone, it's Owen here from OTech, and today I'll be doing an unboxing of the ECS A320AM4-M3 A320AM4 motherboard from ECS. That's a mouthful of a name, but anyways, this is one of the cheapest AM4 motherboards that you can find because this is an A320 motherboard and ECS is known for making affordable motherboards. So here's the box itself. It actually has some pretty nice graphics on here, and it also shows that it has a 16-month warranty because it's in Indonesia. It's in Indonesian though, and the box is overall actually pretty nice quality in my opinion, because it even shows the specifications and stuff and features. Although this is actually pretty wrong because it says that supports overclocking when this one really doesn't, because it's an A320 motherboard which doesn't support overclocking, and these are the specifications and these are the ports on the back. So without further ado, let's open it up and check out the insides and see what it's got. So before we take a look at the motherboard, which I can already tell you guys that it's actually pretty plain, let's take a look at the accessories, which again is also pretty plain. There's also only two SATA connectors like the other ECS motherboard I opened, and also only a silver backplate cover, IO panel cover. Also user manual and also a CD driver disk, which you should never use and download the latest from AMD's website anyways, like I always say. Anyways, now let's take a look at the motherboard itself. So here it is, the motherboard itself. It's an M-ATX motherboard as well, although this one is quite a lot smaller than the previous one. There's some kind of HDMI sticker somehow. So here it is. It's also a pretty plain motherboard, and it's actually pretty small. In fact, I would think that this would pretty much fit in a lot of ITX cases if you think about it, because most ITX cases have a little more than 2 slots width, so this should still kind of fit on some M-ATX motherboards. Some ITX cases I mean. So here it is. You can see that this is a CPU socket. It's a white socket, so that's kind of oldish looking, coupled with the blue VGA connector too. And around the CPU socket you can also see 3 power phases for the CPU core, and also 2 power phases for the CPU SoC, and a 4-pin power connector. So again, this one isn't meant for overclocking, so those are completely fine because you won't be overclocking, so they shouldn't get too hot or not be able to handle anything, because it should still be just fine. To the right of the CPU socket you can see that there's 2 RAM slots for DDR4 memory. These are meant to be run at 2133 or 2400 MHz, although obviously you can set it up to faster speeds, I think, if you use a faster memory. On the right you can also see the 24-pin connector, and on the bottom you can see that there's 4 SATA connectors, SATA 6GB, SATA 3 connectors, beside the chipset heatsink, which is pretty plain, just a black one. And surprisingly enough, you can also find an M.2 slot, so that's pretty cool. Even though this is a cheap motherboard, it still has that. You can also see that there's a PCIe X1 2.0 slot, and also PCIe X16 3.0 slot straight to the CPU. For the fan connectors, you can see that there's a single CPU fan connector over there, and also a single fan connector on the bottom, I think. Yep, here it is. Single fan connector on the bottom. And that's basically about it, because there's nothing else on this side. It's just USB connectors. And on this board there's only a USB 3.0 connector. There's no USB-C front panel, but that's expected given this board is a much cheaper one than the B350 ECS board I took a look not too long ago. And on the back panel I/O, you can see that there's 2 PS2 ports for the mouse and keyboard, also a DVI, HDMI and VGA, which is different because on the B350 you get a display port. These are for AMD APUs, so they won't work with Ryzen. There's also 4 USB 3.0 and also 2 USB 2.0, an RJ45 Ethernet connector, and audio input and outputs. And for the audio internal connector, you can also see it's right on the bottom, so that's really nice because that means that case connectors won't have any problem reaching it. And here's the back of the motherboard. You can see that the PCB is black, so that's really nice. And you can also see that the overall board design is quite simple, but it's still pretty nice looking because it's all black and you won't see the white socket, so I won't fault it for that. So if you're just looking for a cheap AM4 motherboard for your Ryzen processor and you don't intend to overclock, this looks like a pretty decent option, especially considering it has an M.2 connector. But yeah, that's it for this unboxing. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, please leave a like and please click subscribe to see more of my future videos.